Radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
All right. Welcome, Fade to Black. How you doing? Today is April 28th, 2025. I am your host, Jimmy Church, kicking off another wonderful week here on Fade to Black as I play with my alien hacky sack. That's right. I have an ET hacky sack. Stays with me right here on the desk because tonight that's exactly what we are going to be doing. Viviane Chauvet is back with us tonight. Overall encompassing subject, our Galactic Origins. Tomorrow night, Tuesday, Eric Mintel is here, first-time guest. He's a jazz musician, but he's also a paranormal researcher and investigator and author. And tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the jazz side of ghosts, UFOs, and cryptids. And then Wednesday night, our once a month AMA, AJA, Ask Jimmy Anything. I can't put this thing down. My alien hacky sack. I've had this for years and years and years and years. I never hacked. Did you ever hacky sack? I never hacked. So I've tried. You know, I'd go down to Venice Beach and watch the kids down there hacky sack. Do they still do it? I don't even know. Do they still do it? Is hacky sack still a thing? I have no clue. I'll turn on the chat a little bit. Jonocide says a little bit. Do people still do it? I don't know. But I've got mine just in case. I always thought, you know what? I'm going to get good at this one day. No. Anyway, my ET hacky sack. Wednesday night is our AMA where we will be discussing the art of hacky sack. And that's Wednesday night. Thursday night, no show because I will be in Wisconsin for the Contact Modalities Expo. That's because I do have four major events coming up, including this weekend, the Contact Modalities Expo in Delavan, Wisconsin. This is May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th this weekend. Tickets and stuff are available below. I think they have a Sunday special pass available too as well. You can head over to the links below. And then I come back for Contact in the Desert, May 29th through June 2nd in Palm Springs, California, right here in Southern California. Then I go south to Peru with Brian Forster for the Inca Celebration of the Sun. This tour in June is sold out, but we have a second one coming up in November. And you want to change your life. I keep saying it. You want that paradigm shift. You really, really want to have something crazy happen. Go to Peru with us. It's just absolutely amazing. All right. And that's coming up in November. Links for that are at hiddenincatours.com below. Then I come back from Peru and I go out to the East Coast to Charlottesville, Virginia for the Psi Games. That's right, the Psychic Olympics. August 1st through the 3rd, 2025 in Charlottesville, Virginia. The links are below. All right. You know what? I'm just going to move on. I need to start writing stuff down. I have a pad of paper right here. I have a pen right next to it, and it's to take notes. I don't know why. Oh, man. What am I going to do? I had something. Oh. Okay. It just came to me. I was going to post this up in the chat before the show, and I was thinking about, I've got Viviane on the show, and she's just amazing, and I can just get all the knowledge that I can tonight. And how do I, because the first question of the night, and it's, I've done so many shows now. The first question just sets the tone for the rest of the night. No matter what, no matter where we end up, that first question is important. And I was thinking about that. And here's the thing. And this is what I'm going to hit Viviane with in just a second. I have seen enough crazy stuff. I have experienced enough of the crazy to know that there is something going on. That is the fuel. That's what drives me. I've seen, and I don't talk about a lot of it. I'm too busy asking questions and trying to will I ever get to the real answers that I seek? When you just see something just so extraordinary, it's just so, and especially when you have friends around you, and you all go through it together. That is crazy. What is it? So will I get to the truth? And I talk about this a lot. And this is what we're going to talk about tonight with Viviane. We have facts. All right. I'll give you an example. Easy one. Roswell. Okay. What's a fact about Roswell? Well, the Roswell Daily Record newspaper posted a headline, U.S. Army retrieves flying disc at ranch near Roswell, right? Okay. That's the headline. We have the date, July 6th or whatever, right? That's the facts. Now, what is the truth? All right. So the facts are you go out and you see something in the sky on a said date with friends. That's a fact. But what is the truth behind it? Will we ever get there? It's just amazing. You see a ghost. All right. Well, okay. Honey, I saw a ghost tonight. That's the fact. But what did you see? What's the truth behind it? Will we ever, right? Well, tonight we're going to take one step closer to truth. Viviane Chauvet returns. Try to turn that into one word. And we're going to be talking about what is going on here on planet Earth and with all of the peoples on this planet. What is actually going on? We have consciousness. We have multidimensional possibilities. We have physical things that are going on. We have communication that is happening. Is it at the quantum level? Is it something else? Is it simple? Right? I want to know all of this. There is an intelligence out there that is speaking and showing itself to us. I'm convinced of that. I need Viviane to help me understand. I want to welcome back to Fade to Black, the one and only Viviane Chauvet. Viviane, oh, what happened? Oh, there's twice. See, this is an example of me. How do I say this? So excited, number one, but the second part is I'm constantly chasing this. So with all of the craziness in my life, Viviane, that I have witnessed, I've shared a lot of that with you. Will I ever get the answers that I seek?
Oh, my dear Jimmy, thank you for bringing us back. And I said us because you know that when you invite me, you invite my entire delegation. And that is the Arcturian delegation that I represent and I'm a part of. Will you ever get the answers that you seek? Well, the first thing about that statement is removing the vibrational obstacle of the word seek. Am I recognizing all the answers I've always received throughout my entire journey, whether it's in Peru, whether it's when you were experiencing healing in our Nubian Copper Pyramid at conferences, whether it's talking to multiple guests, whether it's experiencing your own journey, whether it's a craft or an image or something in the sky, all of these, everything is part of what's called your morphogenetic field of experience. It's all the layers of energy of experiences. Now the mind will say, okay, I got this. That was cool. What next? What about this over there? Or what about what she said or he said? What about my tomorrow's guest, jazz player with ghosts? And so the mind will create these scenarios that allows you to feel like you're always reaching. The carrots is always there. I'm getting close. This is it. I'm going there. So by removing the word or the distortion energy of seeking is, I recognize all the answers I've always wanted to have revealed to me to embody, and it's right here, right now. And it's going to change the dynamic of your numerous experiences, helping you to kind of connect the dots of your experiences, whether you've seen, talking with an angelic being or an intergalactic being, whether you are in the presence of someone who did a lot of research. It's all in front of us. That's the beauty of it. It's all the answers that we are. It's already here. The mind will take you on a wild journey that says,
okay, I get that. I get that, except I'm getting tired of the carrot. I'm getting a little tired. I'm ready to take the carrot off of the stick and start beating people with the stick. I think that's I'll beat the answers. It's kind of like that. And I'm not saying I'm frustrated at all, but you would think that after the time that I've invested and other researchers that I run with and speak with, that we would start to feel like we're there or getting close. But man, that carrot, like I said, that carrot out there, and yeah, absolutely, you're chasing it. I need to throw that carrot away. I need to start hitting people over the head with that stick.
You are hilarious. I love your sense of humor. It's part of the many great strengths you have. Well, take the carrots and feed it to a rabbit. This way you serve a higher purpose with it. So the carrot is understanding that you can do all the research that you want. You can feed the container of the mind, or the logic mind, with all kind of information. At the end of the day, it's about how much of it am I really in resonance with? Like, for example, I like what you talk about, the Roswell incident in 1947, crash, ships allegedly crash on this ranch in New Mexico. And then the farmers or the owner of the ranch at the time reported these strange, seemingly flying object that contained very strange type of metal, that when you bend the metal, it returned to its original form, absolutely unscratched and unaffected, with all these symbols that you almost looks like hieroglyph or Egyptian language. And then from there, years and years and years of researcher going to the field, wanting to collect data, interviews, witnesses, nurse, medical officers, whether it's Air Force and others who came. Now, what I found pretty interesting is that today, all that alleged crash site belonged to the U.S. Air Force, and you can't even park on the side of the road to approach the grid or the blockage they have put there, because if you linger too much there, you're going to be intercepted. You will say, whoa, how do you know that? Because it happened to me about 2.5 years ago. I have a very old friend who lives in Roswell. It's a retired, well-known and respected UFO researcher, done many editorials, many lectures, and he was in tune with people like Staten Freeman, who passed away. He was good friends with him and others. So I went to pay him a visit 2.5 years ago, not 40 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And so I asked my husband, Peter, who was on your show, Peter Benson, I said, I saw in our hotel room the light figure, the energy body of one of the occupants of those crash objects. And I saw it with my eyes open, as I can see you on the screen. I'm completely lucid. I am in my own complete conscious mental faculties. And Peter sees me fixating and the air in the room, a point. He says, are you seeing a being? I said, yes, I am in communication. Stand by. And that being came, it says, we know you are. You're an Arcturian. And you made a promise to us a long time ago before this incarnation that you will help us. And I said, yes, I do remember through the archives that I made this promise. And I have returned. And says, the being says, okay. And it vanished. I look at my husband and I said, look on the map. We must find the exact parameter of where the landing crash or the field that took place, the incident, we must go there. So the next day, we get on the road. It's rainy, gray, and overcast. And we just launch ourselves on the road. And thanks to the brilliance of my husband's mind, he find the entrance, or what's called the North Gate. So we just park. It's a very narrow, one-way street going out of nowhere, and the land, fields and fields, ranch and fields open. And we find the North Gate. So I tell Peter, I said, we must stop. I have work to do. So he stopped on the side of the road. I step into the rain with a little hoodie on, and I approach the gate. I'm not even physically touching the gate, Jimmy. And I do as I went out of body and I enter the field in my light body consciousness. And I could see, I could feel. And immediately I was giving instruction by my Arcturian delegation. They were downloading codes through me, to my vessel. And I was redirecting those codes, and it's form of light language. It has different geometric pattern forms, and each form has a seed that encoding to help to release whatever imprint is there. We're helping the soul, or the soul energy that is still stuck in the land. I did that for about 10 minutes. It's raining, right? I touch nothing. I'm just there. I am in complete alignment. On the 12 minutes mark, out of nowhere arrived three black SUV coming our way in a hurry.
Out there in the middle of the New Mexico desert, there's nothing out there. There's nothing out there.
It is. It's not a desert part. Is where is the ranch, the land.
Well, but you understand what I'm saying. There's nothing out there. So what were they doing out there?
It's all U.S. It's all Air Force territory, my friend. We are on their turf, 100%, in more than shows. So those three SUV comes out of nowhere, almost like they manifested out of nowhere. Peter says, I had a very bad feeling. My stomach is in pain. Get in the car. We need to get out of here. I said, yes, I know. I got a signal. So we get in the car and we took off. You know, we're not speeding, mind you. We're just taking off like we're just lost visitors. Sorry, we took the wrong turn. And so after a while, the SUV distanced themselves and they let us go. So we did a huge detour because I want to go to the South Gate. So you have the North Gate and you have the South. That is a giant square, so to speak. You can drive for miles, but it's all the original land of the ranch where these craft crashed. And there's more to it. So we go to the south, then the sun come out, there's no more rain. It's, you know, shiny and sunny and all the whole 9 yards. And I said, if you want me to do the work that I am here to do as an ambassador, I can't be interfered by the U.S. Air Force. It has nothing to do with them. And bless them, by the way. And so I got a group of celestial beings came to me, says, we're clearing a pathway, you will not be disturbed. So Peter parked on the side of out of nowhere. I get out of the car. I crossed the road carefully and I just put my hand like this in front of the south gate, touching nothing. There's no physical contact. And this is where I saw and I witnessed myself layers, soul energy. I saw the soul of ET beings, the soul of animals who passed on the land. I saw generations of human souls or soul of, they were trapped on the land. I released so many beings that day, whether it's human, non-human, animals, name it. Once my work was done, Jimmy, the celestial being says, on behalf of an entire alliances of being, we thank you for your service. Now it's time for you to leave. So we get back in the car and we head back towards Roswell, the main little town of Roswell. We're staying in one of the hotel there. So we get back to our hotel, we park. By the time we get back to our room, my husband again looked to the window. There is a vehicle from the U.S. Air Force that just parked next to our car and checking us out. What are we, the license plate, probably doing a research about who we are. And so I told Peter, I said, my work here is done. He said, why don't we just get out of here tomorrow morning in the first daylight? I said, yes, we need to leave because we got attention now. So I asked for protection. I'm here to be of service. I'm not here to do anything. No arm, always no arm, always the best. And the next morning we just took off and we left Roswell. But that was incredible because you have to think about, I'll talk about the facts, newspaper, report, witnesses, name it. So imagine how many years later, and we're back like 2.5 years ago, like what, 2023, just about. So 1947 to 2023, that's a big gap in time. How come someone like me with my husband, little car out of nowhere, would just stay by the road? That's all we've done. I can do all my work by like this. I don't need to touch anything. But we were interfered. We were intercepted. Right away, they knew exactly what I was doing. That's because they could collect a thought going, oh, we have an alert here. There's someone on the land that is telepathically communicating with the land and the beings there. We have to go check it out. And it's just to show you. And that's a real life event that happened to me when we were there, because I was there to visit my friend. And then this being came, says, I'm calling unto you because you made a promise to us in the Galactic Alliances that once you return to the planet, you will help us. So I did fulfill that promise. It was amazing.
How do we, I want to stay on the subject, but connected to it is, how do we start to move on to other areas of contact? Because there's the physical side, right? Like you had said, this is a physical side, but how do we start to understand the conscious and consciousness side of contact? Because that's a whole nother thing for people to grasp. They're barely understanding the size of the universe and the amount of life that's out there, right? That's a huge subject. And then suddenly we have this new side of a consciousness type of contact. How do we move into that?
First, you have to recognize that everything is forms of consciousness. Look at my story, and I know I shared that before, but this is very important to bring it back today because it's a multitude. This is a multidimensional point of contact that I experienced. And it's not 50 years ago or 100 years ago. It's 2.5 years ago, and the timeline that we recognize. So physically, yes, I was called to go on site. Was it necessary? I could have done it remotely. I could have just project my holographic light body and do the exact same work. But there was another component for me being there because physically, as I am engineered as a human hybrid, I'm not a hybrid. My body is. I am an Arcturian being in this human hybrid form. So physically, my body is genetically designed to contain very unique level of refined light frequencies. So oftentimes, I will be asked to go physically on certain site, whether it's sacred site, whether it's ancient site, whether it's a crash site, like Roswell. So physically, anyone, when you go there, because you travel a lot, you affect the environment and the ecosystem by your physical presence. That's number one. Number two, in my example of the Roswell connection, is I was in conscious telepathic communication with another civilization that may be coexisting at the same time as I am physically on site, and they are in a complete different dimensional space, so to speak, or a different time space, but they are communicating with me. That one being, Jimmy, that came to me in their light body, I could see that being as clearly as I see you. I was in conscious exchange, one consciousness to another consciousness, and I acknowledged it instead of dismissing, oh, it's my imagination. I must be tired. Maybe I bumped my head somewhere, or I'm trying too hard. That's your mind interfering in something natural. That's a conscious contact. That being knew that I was able to see them. That being knew that I was acknowledging them. And I did recognize that race. So again,
Okay. I'm going to give you an example. This is why I'm totally in on the subject. I'll give you an example, the conscious connection, right? Okay. Now, although this had nothing to do with a UFO sighting, but it was crazier probably. I'm out in the desert with 30 friends. This is a couple of years ago. We're out in the desert I don't even remember where we were. We might have been in Nevada. And so anyway, we're out in the desert, and we wanted to do some sky watching and goof around and stuff. And so anyway, we're out there. We don't see any craft. All right. We did the kumbaya. We meditated. We did all that stuff. That part I don't buy into. But anyway, as we were looking up at the sky, the odds of this happening, I just think are crazy. Above us, right above us, a giant flaming orange meteor just appeared above us. Smoke trail, huge. You can hear it. It was that low. It was right above us. And then it went out. Now, am I talking about a craft? No. But what are the odds? When was the last time you were with a group of people and you looked up and you just saw a meteor at that moment? At that exact, right? It was crazy. And that just seems to me that there is a consciousness element to this that needs to be explored more, and we need to fully understand what's going on.
that is a fantastic example of conscious manifestation. Because if we accept the fact that you are consciousness before physical being, you know that, let's say that for years of dedication, you're telling the universe consciously and unconsciously, repeatedly, I am ready to embrace more conscious contact or to witness something that will spark or ignite an awakening. And so, of course, the universe will say, perfect, I'm going to co-orchestrate or co-synchronize that perfect event. And so the group of the friends hanging out, I like to say singing kumbaya and doing meditation, you release your expectation that you are there to specifically see a craft. And if you don't see a craft, then the whole thing doesn't work, doesn't exist.
Right. Of course.
That is important. So again, perfect location, a perfect people, a perfect conducive energy for at that moment, that manifested energy of what you've been probably asking for a long time came in the form of something more acceptable. You can say, that's a meteor. What is the odds of us to be at that point, at that time, right at that conjunction when they fly right above our head? We can feel it, we can hear it. It's physical, it's sensorial, and everybody in the group can have a consensus of what this is. That is your manifestation.
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally. It sounds. It sounds too like I'm one of the faithful that I'll believe anything. No, that's not my point. I've seen a meteor like that in my life once before. I haven't seen this over and over and over and over again. So I will say again, I will strongly suggest, what are the odds of that happening when we're all looking up to the sky at the same time just for a brief second? And I got to tell you, we screamed like little kids. It was amazing. It was amazing.
I can imagine.
But the other part, now that was a meteor, but the other part of a group of people getting together, wanting to see something like this, and it does happen, a UFO or something, some crazy lights in the sky, that is not coincidence. And it always seems to be pretty an unbelievable thing that you see, right? Some zigzag, some crazy thing, it does something physically that aircraft just don't do. So they demonstrate to us that they are not us, if you know what I mean. And that seems to be a direct connection to consciousness, and they're doing it for us.
They're doing in response to invitation that a lot of people on the planet sent. If you accept again that thoughts are form, not thought forms, then what is the rising of consciousness on the planet? People are more to understand more the galactic origins. What is my point? How come when I was a kid, I would see these beings, or I've always felt drawn to the star, or feel like there's something in me that tells me that there's more than meets the eyes, and so forth and so forth. So when you start to gather as a group, you influence each other energetically, emotionally, on a psyche level. If you really harmonize your group, whether you're 10, 20, 30 friends coming together or 100, well, you have the power to generate a kind of energy. And if you are in unity consciousness, meaning that you're all in agreement of what is that you would like to experience, that you're ready to embrace as a conscious, real, tangible experience, then the manifestation would say, oh yes, you're going to invite us, allow us to initiate a first level of potential contact. And this is very natural, Jimmy. This is a natural phenomenon. I mean, it's been written for eons. Many ancient civilizations have in their history. It's written all over the temples in Egypt. If you go there, you can see, pay attention to not what the scholars tell you, but read. Always says, reveal to me what is it you meant to write. There's encraftment of Stargate, star beings with a star above their head, what they were here for, what kind of technology they were using, those flying ship depicted, or this aura that people thought in the Renaissance painting, it's for saint. It's not the saint. It's the living aura that is around you and the being coming. So it's written all over the planet for generations. So right now, what we are talking about and re-exploring is a very natural phenomenon that can be explored in a whole different conscious way, because we are reaching that point, even for you in your experiences.
Well, and here's another fascinating, I love the science behind this. We as earthlings learning science, we see things occur over long periods of time. Everything is old. The sun is 4.5 billion years old. Our planet is 4.5, the universe being 13.8 billion years old. So we look at things in these very long linear time scales. But that there are no stars being created. There are no new planet. Like everything is just here and it's been here for a while and it's old. That's not the case. New life is being created all the time. We just spotted, the press release came out today. Are you ready? A molecular cloud of hydrogen. Okay. Big cloud of hydrogen. It's 300 light years from Earth. It's the closest cloud like this that we've ever discovered. But why is this important? That hydrogen bumps into some gravity, that thing compresses, and you have a star eventually. That's how stars are created. Now, how does a molecular cloud of helium or hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, these combinations of molecules, how does this happen? And I just don't, I don't strike it up to just luck. I think there's something else that's going into play here. But we are watching the eventual creation of a star that creates planets. DNA comes into play, and now you have fresh life. Isn't that's just crazy how it's always, and that's our galactic origins, isn't it? It's happening all the time, all around us.
Yeah, it's a perspective to look at it. Of course, everything is in perpetual movement and creation and evolution, expansion, contraction. And this is exactly more and more what's happening on the planet, whether it's a new refined frequency coming through directly from the plasma solar energy, the dimensional movement, and
Right.
all of it. You are in a constant state of contraction and expansion. We call it planetary or galactic birth. There's a birthing process between this contraction and expansion. Now, from a scientific accepted perspective here in this 3D reality, you will describe it as the elements, as you know them on the scientific table. Hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, all of this. We have a different perspective. We, as to the advanced, enlightened, intergalactic intelligence, will see it differently. But it's also, think of it as an invitation to open a new doorway of possibility of life. If you're able to accept that from that formation of this nucleus star or this nucleus molecule turning into eventually as a new star and then shifting into something more. Now imagine on the micro level what is really happening within you. Every time that you're experiencing, that you're opening, something ignite deep, even in the DNA, your RNA, your codons, right at that level, even on a molecular level within yourself. Imagining you have in the human body template trillions of cells, to be generous. That's trillion fractal of consciousness interacting on a quantum level.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start to align consciousness on top of it, you really opening a recipe, so to speak, or rediscovering a recipe for evolution. And this is at a tipping point. So I love, this is wonderful. Again, the synchronicity.
That's a fantastic. Let me jump in right there.
Mhm.
How much the process of DNA and everything else, which I believe is universal. I think DNA is the same on the other side of the universe. We've got evidence of that found on meteorites and asteroids. But how, if DNA is passing down genetic traits and information from one generation to the next, going back millions, if not billions of years. So how much of that are past memories and information that goes back eons and cycles of time that is just passed through us? How much of it is genetic memory?
You're referring to what we call the templates, layers of template of conscious light. And that conscious light can be encoded to the beginning of creation, to all the way to what your soul akashic record has decided to choose to hold in that template of light consciousness that will serve your unique blueprint. And that blueprint is what is influencing as well the DNA, your DNA template, or the quantum field of your DNA template. So yes, there will be an aspect of genetic memory passed on. This genetic memory, or what's called genetic the genetic memory imprints, it's also encoded in the grids of the planet. So the Earth has what's called a crystalline network. And that network is made of a multitude of archives or master record keepers in the form of crystal, and each crystal contains the entire memory of not only the passage of time, the many historical timeline, but also of every soul have ever set foot on the planet. So
So you're saying forever, it goes back forever.
It's indefinite. There's no
right.
time stamp. In my work, I can see, for example, for someone who has a certain mechanism or pattern that is repeated, and we look into their life here and then the past life, and we look into to discover it's an old 50,000 years loop that has been playing out. And the soul has decided that within the template of this incarnation, that old time loop will be resolved in this lifetime. You would say, what is the correlation of something happened to you or at a soul level 50,000 years ago compared to where you are today? Well, on the logic side, you say, I don't see the correlation. But at a soul, you are an eternal being. There's no time per se. Here, everything is quantified. In time and minutes and hours and how much you make, how big you are, how big a channel, what is your number. That's false quantification, but it's non-existent in the vastness of infinity looping into itself. So this is why we need to really understand that you need to step out of that linear construct or linear time construct. It's much more than that. It's infinite, playing into infinite and exploring indefinitely. That's the beauty of it.
Does ET laugh at our social media?
Well, I will use a word in a famous Star Trek series. It is fascinating.
Yeah, right. Well done. Well played, Viviane.
Thank you.
In that I see the technology. I appreciate the technology, and we are definitely on a pretty fast clip right now. But compared to an advanced being, things like the consciousness disrupting social media, stopping any path towards enlightenment, right? All it does is creates divides and arguments and negativity, and there's positive stuff that comes out of it. I'm not saying there isn't, but to ET, it must seem comical, humorous.
This is part of the topic we explore a lot with the Galactic Alliances a lot, and especially for those of us who are boots on the ground or directly interacting with, humanity here and different life forms. And something we understand is there's certain loops has been put in place to slow down, the light workers, the star seeds, the other ET like myself on the planet. And we are very aware of, I would say, the yin and yang aspect of social media and the impact, but especially the entrapment of all this technology, like cell phone and tablet and plugging your ears and having your eyes down, of watching so many YouTube, what's going on, scrolling down Facebook, what's going on next. That's a misuse of technology. This is why consciousness must be assisting technology and never the other way around. We've seen that too many times in many other home worlds, Jimmy, different stages of their evolution, whether they start as organic sentient being and ended up more artificial beings. And we ask the question to humanity is, what is it you're attempting to reach for yourself? Do you want to continue to understand and extracting the sacred art of being an organic sentient human beings? Or are you attempting to mimicking technology and being a robotic version of yourself? So these are very deep questions we need to really ask ourselves. What are we projecting to the new generations? I mean, I'm looking at my stepchildren, and children of others, and the technology, this virtual reality, the gaming, and all of this, the pendulum swing is too much out of alignment. And this is why the universe intervenes when there's an out of alignment. And there's a more profound question we have to ask. What is it I want to reach and fulfill for myself? What am I here to really do? Am I here to become part of, so ingrained in that technology that I no longer have the natural faculties to think, reasoning, discernment, intuition? And there's nothing woo-woo about that. This is all the natural faculties of the human race. Makes sense, right?
Well, it makes total sense. But yet we can't get out of our own way. The majority, not all, but the vast majority of people on this planet all want the same thing. They want love. They want happiness. They want positivity. They want positive actions. They want a better life for their children than they have for themselves right now, and peace on earth. Right? I think those are all fundamental goals of everybody, but we forget about it so fast. And that's just really strange. I don't know anybody that doesn't want those things, but yet we'll fight, we'll argue, we get sucked in, we troll, it's weird. It's just like, I don't get it.
That's what we call releasing a paradox. It's releasing all these pre-programming of step down understanding or step down frequency of what happiness is, what love is, what safety, security, abundance, fulfillment is, good health. So all of these words or these core values that you talk about, we agree, except that it's no longer the same understanding in the 3D middle timeline. When you start to rediscovering the new semantic of what happiness is, what fulfillment, what security, for example, security and safety has nothing to do with the safety of your 3D logic mind, is really be able to reconnect with the power of your heart, start to understand this authority, this light you have inside of you. I'll give you an example of this, if I may. I have this beautiful client. She's intelligent, spent years in the medical field, expert in brain, intelligent, well-researched, well-educated. Okay, absolutely phenomenal. She's been working with us for a number of years. She recently had an experience where she got to see herself as a powerful blast of light, or like a supernova of light in meditation. And she go like, well, that was probably my mind imagining that light, And then somebody else next to her says, no, I saw your light stepping out of you, like you became that ball of light. And then the next thing she knows, her hands, her arms, her body start to buzz, and she start to feel tangibly all this energy coming out of her hands. So the first thing she does, she comes to us, says, am I going crazy? Is it in my imagination? Or what is happening to me? And I smiled and I said, well, I am very happy that you're starting to have a breakthrough beyond your logic mind, and we start to experiencing what we've been telling you all along, that you are this natural energy. You have the faculties to generate powerful energy. You can heal yourself. You can balance your meridian. You can connect on a deep universal level, and yet being able to become a much more conscious co-creator, watching your thoughts. Where's your emotion? Where are you invested? Where are you pulling all of your light and your co-creative faculties to? You want to reinforce the paradigm of cell phone and technology, or you want to be more on a conscious being?
Right.
For her, that was a huge breakthrough. Jimmy, thinking about years of medical field in hospital, clinic research, brain research, and for her to experience that just changed her reality.
And here, excuse me, here's where that coffee went down the wrong pipe. Here's where I have conflict with that. You ready? You
Oh,
know me too well. You know me too well. You probably already know what I'm about to say, but
I'm all ears.
I picture a planet, Thor, or some alien world avatar, some beautiful planets, all majestic, and everybody's all bliss and happy, and things are going, or heaven, what heaven may be like, right? And you know what, Vivian? That would suck. That would, okay, so yeah, I want to be happy. I want a peaceful life and no negativity, but it 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 would wear out. You still need, so like your friend, right, in the medical field, right, and doing this years a year. At some point, you just want to go skydiving. You want to go rob a bank. You want to go ride a motor, build a ramp and jump over something. You know what I mean? You need to have that adrenaline rush, too much good and bliss. That's my fear. What if we achieve eternal consciousness? Well, you still want to go break a few windows once in a while. You understand what I'm saying? And you know me too well. Does ET go through that? And I would say that they have. They went through the struggle. They survived. They overcame war and weapons and nuclear this and maybe even disease and cosmic events. They achieve all of that and they survive and they become smarter and conscious and everything. But do they do fun stuff still too? Or is it just all kumbaya?
I love the different shade of grays that you put in this example, Jimmy, and I appreciate. This is why I am here on the planet, to be able to experience and understand you rather than be in my original Arcturian form, already
Right.
expanded and enlightened. It would say, well, we will have a different conversation. But for the sake of right now, let's go back to what you said. It comes to a point where the soul evolves beyond those needs. When you reach a certain level of enlightenment, that internal bliss of being of service to the prime creator and expanding yourself into any aspect of creation, you're breaking in the windows and jumping out of cliff. It's obsolete. You're no longer in that state of mind. You're no longer in that frame of energy. You evolve beyond. Now, to your point, every civilization, no matter how advanced they are, a different state of consciousness, scientific revelation, medical field, we've all have gone through the difference. If you look at a group like the Andromedans, ourselves, the Arcturians, the Antares, and so forth, we are thousands and thousands and thousands, to be generous, thousands of years old, some of us millions of years old, of cultivation, evolution, creating mistake, learning, perfecting ourselves. So we understand. It's like and it's just an analogy here, so bear with me. It's like a 5-year-old coming to you and says, I have a blast in kitten garden. I call it kitten garden, by the way. I know. It's not a lapsus. I call it kitten garden.
Fair enough. I
It's
like
so
that.
cute. They look like kittens to me. Anyway.
Right.
So when you go there, you have a blast. You don't have imposition of homeworks, instruction, and rules and behaving. You have to behave to a certain degree, but you are all about playing. You're experiencing, whether you're doing painting and block building and eating snacks in the middle of the afternoon and taking a nap. You have a blast. You can't wait to go back. But then eventually you have to graduate, because it will come to a point that even that appeal will no longer be, and you'll be trapped in the same loop. And you would say, please get me out of here. I can't do this anymore. So you're shifting, right? You're going to first grade. It becomes more difficult. Then you're proud of yourself because you achieve another level. You don't play as much, but you play in a different field. And you start to play with words and writing and numbers. You start to expand your mental faculties, your reasoning, and you can still have play in recess with your friends. And then you go all the way up, and then high school come. Oh my God, this is scary. How am I going to do that? Changing, being more responsible for my schedule, being able to change class multiple times. I'm not going to be with my friends all the time. I don't like the scary teacher of mathematics. I prefer my French teacher, my English teacher. You shift, you graduate from there, and you go like college. What does it mean? I'm going to be treated as an adult. I'm going to have to be that way. And the next thing you know, when you graduate from all of it, and would say a being will come to you, says, "Hello, I come from planet XYZ. We would like to bring you back to first grade. Would you like to join us?" You would say, "I'm appreciate the offer, but I'm no longer in that field. I've grown, I've changed, I've evolved. There's nothing there for me." So it's very something similar. So right now, your soul has come to learn, experiment certain things. What adrenal rush may be to you, whether it's going to Peru, experiencing dimensional portal and going, "Whoa, that was quite an experience," whether it's going to Egypt, or it just can be in your yard connecting, and then a light reflected back to you. I got an answer. Or I felt something open in my field. A click went on. The light went on. Something happened that changed me. So allow yourself to experience the way you need to be, and allow yourself the permission to evolve as you need to be as well. So for us, it's more in that sense. We have learned a long time ago. We no longer abide by these polarization or experiencing and what we call fun. Well, for you, it may not be perceived that way. It's just because we're existing in different octave of
Yeah, could
experience.
be, but I'm definitely perceiving it my way. And let me give you an example, Vivian. Okay, so these vast clouds of consciousness and these quantum fields that drive the universe, and we're all connected. I believe that is true. 100%. It's all the way down, all of it. But I got to tell you, if I'm going to go out there and hang out after I lose this meat sack, and I'm going to be in that quantum consciousness cloud, I better be able to go to a candy store and steal me some milk duds once in a while. You know what I mean?
They're
I
delicious.
don't. Yeah, I could not take an eternity of bliss. Oh man, that would just I would lose my mind. I would
Well,
lose my
then
mind.
we'll wave
But
at you as we go by.
you know, so, are there ET troublemakers too as well, like me? There
Oh,
must be.
they are. They are some of them can be classified as troublemakers. Yes, oh, they are. They are all kind of shade, flavor, size, and forms. All kind of consciousness. Oh, believe me, some are renegades. Others are rebels. Others are very enlightened. Others are just a ball of pure consciousness. There are all kind of flavors. It will be your ultimate candy land. Really is.
Yeah,
Ultimate.
I dig that. I dig that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I need that. I need that back. No, you know what I need? I just need to know that I can do that. That's all. Maybe I won't do it, but if I know that I can, then I won't be so stressed.
Well, allow yourself to have a confirmation that you can do so much more. So it's going to be much more than your imagination can fathom right now. In the meantime, enjoy the candy and enjoy brushing the teeth that comes with it. Remember, I know, right?
Yeah. I can see it now. We're going to take our break, but I can see it now. You and I, you know, walking in to our galactic neighborhood, walking in and them going, "Oh man, it's church." Here comes trouble. Well, yeah. Dang it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a saint. I don't pretend to be something I'm not. But here's where I am. And I think a lot of us are this way. I'm only saying this so everybody else can have some confirmation of themselves. Um, I don't like negative things, people, or thoughts around me I can't stand it. I walk away from it. I don't listen to it. It's who I am. But dang it, I'll ride my Harley at 120 miles an hour in front of a cop. It's really weird, you know? So it's, I want that bliss. I want that love vibe. I do, but I don't want to tap out. I don't want to fully give in. I just to know that I can if I want to.
You know, I feel that for you, and it's perfect. It's part exactly what you sort of come to do is, okay, I can accept bliss or infinite bliss, but right now, don't tell me what to do. If I need to do it, I want to do it. Don't limit me of what I can say in the name of bliss. And we say, here's the thing, you can have both.
Yeah, yes, no, that's exactly what I'm saying.
I know.
You know, and if I can't have that, you know what? I might not join the club. I'm not, you know, it's just not for me. You guys do what you do what you want to do. Tonight, Viviane Chauvet is with us. We're talking about our Galactic Origins. We're going to take a quick break. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and get the Fade to Black official podcast. 2,000 episodes, all of them commercial free for just $2 a month. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's Fade to Black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? How you doing? Jimmy Church here. Special announcement. Get your Fade to Black t-shirts. That's right. Help support the show. Help support everything that we do over here. We've got 2 t-shirts. We've got 2 ways to get them. Get your Fade to Black t-shirt today. Go Backley Tappy. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and become a Fadernaut. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fadernaut. Today we're headed to Bolivia, Tiahuanaco, Peru, and of course, Pumapunku. Brian, exciting. Thank you so much for everything, my friend.
Always an honor. Right behind us is the sacred river of the Inca that goes past Machu Picchu. So we're going to be driving up to its source at 15,000 feet above sea level and then down to Lake Titicaca.
So today we hit 15,000 feet.
Yes.
Crazy. And you can do it with us. All you have to do is go to hiddenincatours.com. Simple. We've got 2 tours coming up next year, one in June for the summer solstice, right? And then another one right here in November. So hiddenincatours.com. Come and hang out with Brian and I and his amazing team.
Right on.
River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon Wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com. Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest is Viviane Chauvet. And I got to tell you, I had to refill my coffee and I spaced it. And we're at the last end. You have never, I'm winded. Never seen me run so fast to that French press. River Moon Coffee. I want to share this with everybody. I tend to bring this up every time Viviane's on the show. But it's a true story. I'm going to bring in Viviane as I tell the story. She can confirm. Viviane and I did a film. I narrated, and we went to the premiere of the film to a theater here in Los Angeles, and we watched the premiere. And after the premiere, and I was so taken with Viviane. I was just blown away. And we're at the after party for the premiere, and we're outside. I went up to Viviane and I go, "You're with me. That's it. That's it. That's it." That really, you remember that conversation outside? I was like, "Viviane, you are incredible." And since then, I can't get enough of our conversations. I learned so much from you. But that's a true story. I let my fanboy show that night. Yeah, I let it go, man. I couldn't help myself. But just thank you for your contributions and everything that we do together. It's been a very fun ride, our friendship over the years. And I wanted to ask you about the Akashic Records. My original views of the Akashic Records, which I had a hard time understanding the concept behind it. And I had a vision. I had pictured something a little bit differently. So many people talk about this information and what it is. And I was a little bit confused. But this is what's crazy about it with me today. I think science is proving to us the reality of the Akashic Records. And I would have never thought that, because it's such a different concept for people to understand. And I ask so many guests this question: what are the Akashic Records? I get different answers. Some are similar. Sometimes it's the same. But I'm going to ask you, what are, and especially for those that have heard the term but may not know, what are the Akashic Records?
It's a great question, Jimmy, and we realize that a lot has been written about, talked about, experienced about. We call the universal hall of records. There's more than one records. You get a universal hall of records that contain everything ever created since the beginning of creation. You can also have aspect of the Galactic Akashic Record, where you can ask specifically to look at the archives of a species, whether it's the founders or the Carians or the feline Sirians or, the Antares and so forth and so forth. You also have your own soul Akashic Record, what we refer to as your soul memory field or your quantum field. That means, Jimmy, that as an internal soul, all the fractal of experiences you've ever had in any timeline, anywhere in the multiverse, through being galactic beings, can be as a founder, an architect of time, a time traveler, whatever you experience, it's all encoded in your own soul Akashic memory field or your Akashic record. So you have to look at there's different aspects of it. It's complex, it's beautiful, it's majestic. So the universal all records, it's not a place you go. It's not like a library you move into and then you do some research and you ask, can I take out this book? And then they stamp in and says, please return in
well,
10
that's the
days.
way I used to look at it. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Exactly. So it's more of an vibrational place. It's all about vibration. It's you can have access to these vibrational archives of information, asking the gatekeeper and the guardians, and there's almost like a hierarchy of beings or the guardians or the wisdom keepers. And I have gone through the Akashic record a multitude times, whether it's to help a soul who just recently passed, or a soul that from history, and we're doing some research. I mean, I access the Akashic record. It's all about vibration. It's really a vibrational, etheric place where the encoding in terms of light frequency, encoding frequencies, everything is there. Even the Great Central Sun has an Akashic solar record where you can ask the Solar Council to understand and access those archives. Your sun in this quadrant also have a solar archives. So everything is ever recorded. This is why we said that every thought, every word, every intention, every emotion matters. People think, oh, what does it make a difference? It's just me thinking my own thing. No, you're affecting all these recorded energies, all these vibrational structures of light frequencies that you can consider as archives. And here's the beauty of that. If to you, Jimmy, the Universal Hall of Records looks like a giant temple of a library of ancient books that is infinitely stored, well, this is how it's going to show it to you. This is how it's going to present itself to you. And if you ask an intergalactic being going into the archives, it's going to be a very different experience. But nonetheless, you can still have access to any form of information. What matters the most is how you present yourself and what is the intention. So how you present yourself.
This is my proof of the Akashic records.
Okay.
And I'll tell you how I came to it. Deja vu. Deja vu. Deja vu is a perfect example of everything that is there. When you have a deja vu and you step back and you go, what, how, what? Oh, this is cool. All right. That's the Akashic records being accessed. That's my take. And I came to that conclusion because of something that I used to say repeatedly as a kid every time I had a deja vu. I was like 8 or 9 years old and I was having a deja vu. And I turned, I think it was to a teacher in school at first, but I think I said it again to my mom and other people later, but I said, somebody's read my book. That's what I said. I was 8. Why are you saying that? Because right now, this thing is happening. I didn't know how to explain it, but it was happening to me. And that's what I blurted out. As an adult, I look back, I was getting close. You know what I mean? To understanding what is going on. I think that is an example of the Akashic records. If somebody's, well, wait a minute, how can you prove or how can you suggest? Well, deja vu.
I love that you are able to recognize the existence of these great records through your experience as a déjà vu. And déjà vu, it's a French word borrowed from the French language. So déjà vu, it's a loop, it's a repetition or a memories recorded in time. It can be also an aspect of you coexisting in the multidimensional field that created a point of intersecting point where at that moment that memory became as vivid and present as anything else in your reality. And that book at the time when you were 8, you knew that book already existed, right? It's a reality. It's already part of the stamp of time in the sacred archive. So how long did it last? I'm curious about that analogy.
No, it continues to this day. I've used it a lot. I was always confused leading up to my knowledge of the existence of the Akashic records that it seemed that somebody somewhere was reading about me. I'm using the metaphor of reading of a book, but knowing exactly what is happening in the moment. How could somebody possibly know that unless they had access to my book? Right. And that's the Akashic records. That's the only thing that explains it clearly to me. I've always been very confused about it.
Well, again, the analogy of a book can be attributed to the Akashic record because for you, that book of your life is the book of your soul, is the archive of your soul. And so it can be another aspect of you feeding that information back to you, or a fractal of you as a child and all your life, and to say, how come they know my book? But I can see where you would attribute that as an archive, which makes sense. It's a good analogy.
Well, I think that I don't think that I want to get this thought out clearly. Too many people don't stop and think about a moment like that. They just let it pass. They don't see it as anything else than something in this 2 or 3D world. And I think that's a problem. When we look at, okay, here's an idea. If we look at the concept of, say, Atlantis, that's a heavy thought for people to understand. That's a crazy, and people just don't open up the idea of possibility or wonder or curiosity to look at something like that. And what if Atlantis is revealed? What if? I mean, like, for real, like, we got submarines going down there, and we're now, we've got James Cameron down there with his submersible, and video, and the news breaks to the world. I'm not so sure that the planet is ready for that. And if we wondered about it enough in advance, then if the reveal happened, it's not going to be that big of a deal. You know what I mean? And I think that's part of the problem, is so many people are closed down, closed off to an open mind.
It really greatly depends on what crowd are you around the most. And in reference to Atlantis as an influence, or Lemuria, or any other ancient civilization, that refer also back to the idea of the universal all of records. Because if you look at the universe as one massive field of consciousness, embracing constantly evolving experiences and creation and contraction, this is where all the experiences of reality that are manifested all at once. So when you take the time to tune in, or you feel like a deja vu, a synchronicity, a familiarity. Some people are very drawn to Renaissance time, or ancient France, or Scotland, or their heart is calling them back to Egypt. What do you think is that? That's because all these aspects or fields of reality, or manifested realities, are still coexisting with you now, even though to this linear perspective, we think as a term as, no, that was the past, I'm right in my present, I'm grounded in the now, and there's a potential future, who knows? That's linear way of thinking.
Right.
And so it will redefine your filters, your perspective, how you perceive yourself, how you perceive others. So you will draw in frequency to attract people who may think more like you, or perceive reality like you, which is completely fine. It's just saying that I have a very different perspective of all of these fields of manifested realities, because every day I work with people from all over the planet who have constantly have breakthroughs, conscious desire to be more, opening experiences, whether it's in their family lineages, whether it's memories of aspect of themselves through their own soul akashic records. Well, I'm seeing such a profound movement on the planet. And I'll tell you one tangible example of it. I'm the founder of the Arcturian University, and we are in a community setting. And for the last 3 years or so, Jimmy, we have been attempting, I mean, my team and I, to create a retreat in a part of Switzerland in Europe. There's a lake we want to go to, and we've been attempting to do that. I mean, in every angle, in every place, every venue we would go to, the moment they knew or read about my bio or read about the work that I do, going, oh no, I'm sorry, we can't host that kind of events here. We were shutting down after doors until now, without even thinking about it. We got invited to come. The doors are wide open. We want you there. Come bring your community, your retreat there. We're going to host you the whole 9 yards. So as a result, we're going in Switzerland, Germany in July for our annual retreat for my members. But before 3 years ago, it was not even possible.
Wait a minute. Wait. July of this year?
Yes.
I want to go.
Yay.
It's Switzerland?
Well, we're going to have the conference. I'm going to speak at a conference called the Earth Star Conference, which is a very UFO conscious conference in the south of Germany at a beautiful castle. So I'm going to be speaking at a conference there from July 3rd to the 6th of this year, 2025. And then after that, we're staying after at the castle for hosting my annual retreats with members of my Arcturian University. And then we're going to be traveling a little bit into Switzerland. And we have a ride, we're going to Lake Constance to do a journey, a boat lake and all of this. So, but that region, we've been attempting to open a field for a long time, and now it's opening. Now that first UFO conscious conference has no fear to bring me there. They are opening their doors with open arms. We want you there, they said. We want you to bring your delegation, bring the message. The fear is dissipating. There's a conscious opening. You might be surprised, Jimmy, at how many conferences or places they still are afraid of the message. They're afraid of what we bring, and there's nothing to be afraid of. That's the change we're seeing on the planet. This is incredible.
Yeah, I find that fascinating. And just like we were just talking about Lemuria and Atlantis.
Yes.
The discovery of a civilization that predates us by 50,000 years, 100,000 years, whatever that is. I think that's going to be difficult I think that's going to blow way too many minds. And I think that academia may get in the way of that too as well. Robert Schoch said to me once, he said, in academia, he's a professor at Boston College, right? Tenured. He said, I can say the A word now. I couldn't in the past. I said, what is aliens? I can say aliens on campus. I can't say the other A word. I said, what's that? He goes, Atlantis. Yeah, he said in academia, no. Aliens are okay now. You still can't talk about Atlantis. Isn't that interesting?
What is interesting the most about this is that so many souls who were at different stages of Atlantis during the timelines have returned in reincarnation today. So is it possible that even in the academia or university, college, institution, that these souls who says, oh, don't say Atlantis, it is possible as reminiscence of blockages, trauma stored deep at the soul level, right in their akashic field, and they're unable to pass that blockage. And
Isn't
this is
that
why
interesting. That's a really good point, Viviane. It's a really good point. And how many people especially those that are in denial too as well. But how many people go to a new place that they've never been, right? Vacation, whatever it is, right?
Mm.
And they go, wow, I think I've been here before, right?
Yeah.
We all say that, don't we? Don't we
Sure.
all say that? We all say that.
Most people would say that. Now, the other factor is just a fun. I'll put a little fun twist to that. Is the counterpart, like myself, when we go to these places and we say, we're discovering these places for the first time. That's because we have no soul history attached to those places. Like there's many places on the planet I go, but I have no attachment to it. There's no deja vu. There's no, like feeling a visceral connection or wow, it feels so familiar. To me, it's like, okay, that's interesting. I'm rediscovering these aspects. So there's also many old souls that comes from different galactic groups or intergalactic or interstellar intelligence group who come to the planet, and they may feel like they've been here very few times or very few incarnations, or some of the souls have very few level of interconnection to the planet. So for us, it's more like, rediscovering these places because there's no soul attachment behind it.
Is it possible? Is it possible to have the same thing happen to myself? Not you, you don't count. But if I manage, well, you'll understand when I ask the question. If I manage to get on a starship, right, and I go to another planet, is it possible that I could step off and look around and go, man, I think I've been here before?
100%.
Really?
Because one way or another, Jimmy, part of your own soul Akashic records,
Sure.
you have experienced many ways. You may recognize some planets in a series, with a Series A, Series B. You may recognize or have a familiarity through another galaxy, like in Andromeda. You can have an affiliation with Alpha Centauri. So you can go and explore another homeworld, another interstellar place or binary star system, and go, wait a second, it felt familiar. It felt like almost like it felt like home, or there's a sense of old friends or reconnecting. There's something there for me. That's because it's part of your soul journey. It's part of your soul Akashic field. You know that an aspect of you have been here before, and you simply forgot it here in this reality. You forget. Everything is pushed away on the side, and then you immerse yourself in this identity, those pseudo personality we play on. Like my name, Viviane Chauvet, that's my earthly name. Why didn't I just change my name for Arcturus the Greatest or the Star of Benevolence One? No, my name is Viviane Chauvet. Why? Because that's my earth bridge connections with you. It's much more relatable to say, hey, I know Vivian, I like what she said, or she's a friend, or I've been, in this movie, or we've been into this premiere in Pasadena. I've been with Vivian, not the Star of the Great Radiance One. So this is why I chose to keep my earthly name. It's my connection here to the planet, even though I am who I am. Same thing with you, Jimmy. In this lifetime, you're very well known and will be even more well known as Jimmy Church. But in other planet or other sphere of realities, they will remember you at the soul level. It is your quantum signature they will remember, not your name.
He was the guy that did vodka shots in the Akashic Hall of Records. That's how they're going to That's how they're going to remember me, Vivian. Hey, the Inouye Observatory is coming online. It's in Hawaii, and it's a massive telescope on a volcano out there in Hawaii that is able to study the sun. It's a solar observatory. It's pretty incredible. But look what they are observing. Some are direct optics, but the other stuff is different frequencies of light to study. And I thought to myself, what if we applied that same concept to Earth and we looked at our own conscious field that wraps around Earth and Gaia, and that we would be able to measure and quantify our own fields of consciousness around this Earth. And we're starting to see things out in deep space that we've never seen before. Do you think it's possible to measure consciousness and to map it and see where these fields are?
I feel like it will be a next concrete step to allow you to step into this magnificent universal tree of life, right? And to be able to create maps that allow you to discover you moving out of your own box. So you talk about Gaia or the Earth, and Gaia is the consciousness of the planet. This energy field and this living aura that is emanating, radiating from the planet. You are absolutely correct. In the many intergalactic enlightened ones like ourselves and others, we see this emanation every day. We also feel the emanation of all the sum of thought forms coming from the planet. Now imagine if you create a map or quantify this form of dense energy coming from millions of minds thinking and projecting emotion and thoughts. And then that creates that even bigger radiation around around the planet. What do you think so many beyond what you have counted, mapped, recorded, and write books about? There's many groups of sentient intelligence, or referred to as ETs. We don't mind about the word ETs. Are really monitoring that kind of energy that is coming from the planet, blasting into the solar system and radiating everywhere. So you talk about rediscovering different confinement of space or new stars or supernova and expanding. Realize that you are watching consciousness experiencing different plane of existence. So the question we have for you is, if you accept that, how are you attempting to quantify and capture that into a map that makes sense to you? It's more in terms of recognizing that you are starting to expand your level of conscious intelligence and empathic intelligence to recognize that natural pathway that we call the universal time matrix. That's all defined by countless level of dimension, like branches of dimension, and each dimension has different purpose, frequencies, energies, and it goes on and on. So yes, in a way, that would be a great start to see those maps.
We are, when I say we, I'm just talking about science and cosmology, but we are desperately trying to find and seek out alien life. We're looking at planets, we're looking, and this thing with Bennu takes this whole concept that you're talking about one step further. Because when we launched that probe to that asteroid, dug stuff up and brought it back to Earth, it crash landed in the Utah desert last summer, right? And then what did we find on Bennu? We found the 4 proteins that make up DNA. The 4. We found 20 basic sugars and amino acids that make up RNA on an asteroid, right? One scoop of stuff, and we found the magic of life. Now, what if it went one step further? What if we found DNA? And then we look at that DNA and we find traces of that DNA in our DNA, where you and I and others in our community have talked about us possibly being hybrids in a hybrid program. What if science suddenly confirms that we're all starseeds? What if that actually happens? And we are getting really close. We are bringing back dirt from asteroids back to this planet and studying it. That's crazy. And it's like, be careful what you wish for. What if that happens and suddenly hybrid is just an accepted term of who we are?
Well, if it takes that as proof to help you feel confirmed in your identity, well, more power to you.
Scientists need that. They're not going to go with the kumbaya crowd like you and I.
Well, what's funny about that is that, in interviews or other places, I did so many lectures by then, people would say that, oh, what is the definement between the conscious spiritual approach to more scientific proof baseline? And I said to them, it's funny because once you are very busy going that route, those are behind your scene. The 1% has been keeping the grip on your planet, the draconians, reptilians, the negative grays, and then other form of intelligence that you have not really knowledge of, and we do. Understand you to a T, understand the human DNA to a T, understand your potential to a T, understand how your light can be manipulated, and it's also dangerous for them if you're becoming too powerful, unified with each other, too conscious, too aware, and what it represents for them. The danger for them is losing the grip, and they fear that they will lose their identity and they will cease to exist. And so all of this faction is looking at all of these scientific mechanisms put in place and seed of doubt that people go and then investigate, just to keep you really busy. And all of the while, in the same time, advanced intelligence like myself and my group, we bring our people on the planet and we say, we're here. But you look at us and you go, Viviane, you look too human. And I'm like, oh, we went all this extent to create a hologram that looks human so I can be here. But yes, here we're talking about scientific breakthroughs. The answers is really within you. It's right.
You can't win. You can't win, can you, Viviane?
Oh, it's not about winning. It's about
patience. You know what I'm saying.
I know. I know, right? Right?
Yeah. You just can't win. Well, when you go through all of the chatter about hybridization and hybrid programs and what may or may not be happening on this earth, it's all over the place now. And I would say that probably a little bit of all of it is happening. I don't think it's one specific thing when we talk about what is a hybrid. And so, and your definition of it, I want you to tell everybody your take on hybrid, and then we're going to see the chatter start, because everybody's got their own definition, don't they? What is a hybrid to you?
I like the way you phrase it. You ask me, what is a hybrid to you? So you're asking our perspective, and I love that. And that's exactly where everybody put their 2 cents about what they understand about hybrid. Is always asking, what do you understand? What is your perspective on the matter? So the word hybrid is a huge umbrella, okay? It really is a huge umbrella. Just like the word healing, ascension is, it's a huge umbrella. It's no longer a term. It's more of a direction. So hybrid is almost like a pointer, a marker to understand different stages of genetic consciousness, different purpose in consciousness, and different stages of evolution. You can have a hybrid type where a very ancient intergalactic, technologically advanced ET group may come and says, we lost some of the original DNA markers in our own DNA, and we lost our ability to reconnect with that spark of light or our living aura that you have as a human being. So therefore, we need certain of your codons, DNA, RNA, genetic material as an attempt to rebuild what was lost in our civilization for X amount of reasons. Now, those hybrids, yes, they're a blend of different races put together. Usually their roles will be to stay with the ET parent on the ship in their world. They're never designed to live on a planet on the Earth. So they're here to help to rebuild or strengthening an original point in a DNA marker of an ancient civilization that something has lost. And then they want to reignite that spark to make it easy. You know, I'm just clarifying in simple terms here. That will be one aspect. Now, within the way they proceed, it may be perceived here or decoded as a program, or, abductions, or something is taken from me that is without my consent. No, there are soul agreements behind it, so much more complex from the point of the universal aspect. There's always an agreement, there's a connection somewhere.
Explain.
What I mean by that is that, let's say that the men and women, it's not just women, it's women and men, can have experiences with different ET rays. I know the most popular ones are come from the Zeta Reticuli, and there's multiple groups in the Zeta Reticuli. All kind of grays, all kind of subgroups of grays. Some are very tall, short, name it, right? Very complex. So some of these groups may travel from a future, from your perspective, a future timeline, come back into their past, which is your present, and they may recognize you as maybe one of them in a future aspect of themselves. They're coming back in the past to interact with that part of you in their past that is interacting and reincarnate as a human. Now, to you in your present lifetime, you have no memory of it. A strange light comes, I float, I'm on the craft, the table is super cold, which is typical of the metal they're utilizing. There's light in my face, and there's extraction going on. Next thing I know, they come back and tell me these are my children, right? We see that's very classic points. Now, when we say agreements, is that at a soul level, prior to your incarnation in this life, you may have been one of them, and knows to say, I'm going to come back in the past time of the Earth, reincarnate in a genetic lineage as a human, and then come back, interact with that part of myself so we can rebuild our civilization. So there's a consent there. You can see there's a point of connection. That could be one form of soul agreement.
So that's what goes on at the dentist office when I go every week. Aha!
There you go, mystery soul. See?
I knew it. I knew it. My dentist. And what about the other direct physical side that so many have experienced? An intention of an ET race coming here and directly interbreeding with us, and either removing the children from this planet, right, and showing them later to the families. We've heard about that. Or they are left to populate this planet, so eventually things are acclimated to our atmosphere. I've heard that, and it sounds crazy, but it's possible.
The thing is that we are multidimensional beings. So a planet who's a celestial conscious being, a Gaia, or this Earth, as you call it, is a conscious being. So there's a multiple version of the Earth. Now, there was a version and a timeline of potential destruction of the planet. There's another timeline where, nuclear war, this is it, we're destructing ourselves, but the planet remains, survives. There's the timeline of where we are, called the middle timeline. The middle timeline is the rising of consciousness, having more hardcore, deep conversation, start to understand that you've been walking around star beings because it's a very natural phenomenon. You start to reconnect with those galactic origin points. And yet, there's still that fragmentation in consciousness depending on mindset, cultural background, educations, where you grew up on the planet will influence you greatly. What is the soul agreement you came to do? What is your purpose here? Some souls are come to clear karma. They're not here to go through the whole ascension process. It's not their time. and it's perfectly fine. So there's different level of consciousness already coexisting in one planet. No wonder sometimes we lost ourselves in translation. So that's why it's important to return in unification. But that's another topic. So there's this timeline here. Now there's another timeline called the New Earth. That is the ascended version of the Earth that you know as Gaia. Gaia is the higher fifth dimensional frequency of herself, where it's the return of unity consciousness. You've gone through the lessons, you've gone through the karma, you went through all that your soul needed to learn and experiment, and you are ready to achieve the next level of your soul evolution and returning to a higher octave. That's a more octave of unity consciousness. Group. You start to understand the importance of the impact on the global group level, not just individual expression. And you have all these times that over exist with you. So we talk about, ET comes, connect, and direct physical contact, mate with you, have children with you. And they said to you, well, we're going to keep the children, let's say, on the planet through one of the outposts we have here. Maybe one day we can come and live here. You have to ask yourself, what timeline reality are they in? It may not be the timeline you think they are. And that's the complexity when you start to really connect and interact with advanced intelligence. It really is. So that refer back to communication. That's because, Jimmy, the linguistic field of the planet is evolving. So certain semantics, words, expression no longer have the same meaning as they used to. Their vibrational imprint has shifted. This is why when you ask, what is your perspective on the word hybrid, we're going to give you our perspective on that multidimensional aspect. If you ask somebody in a chat room, well, they may read something about it. They may have watched many video about it. They may have somebody had an experience about it. Now their perspective of the word hybrid will be completely different from the way we perceive it.
Well, if we looked at, okay, I'm going to use the planet Mars for an example. We talk about people from Mars as Martians. And so we would look at what it's Mars as I'm using for an example, but it can be any planet. We're going to identify with the people on that planet as being from that planet. Here on this planet, we look at individuals and borders and religions and races and cultures, and we look at everything as individual. We don't look at ourselves as a whole. But if we back off our planet, Viviane, the planet is evolving. The planet is maturing. Okay? It's maturing. And right now, we're like 18 years old. We're a lot more mature than we were, 5,000 years ago when we were 6 years old and not understanding. We are maturing as a planet. And sooner or later, we're going to grow up. And I'm just wondering what that's going to be like for the global collective consciousness. Is it going to be a generational thing, like from one generation to the next, suddenly everybody wakes up? Okay, we get it. Is it going to be like that? Or is it going to be more gradual? And what do you think? Do you think that next phase is going to be faster than we think?
It already is. Thing has accelerating. You are shifting more and more out of linear time.
Well, it's because we're 18. We're 18. We're starting to see adulthood in front of us, I think, right?
Well, I'm a grandma, so I look at a perspective like a grandma, right? So you're 18, I'm a grandma. So I want to put myself in your shoes and says,
Sure.
well, my dear, okay. Yes, for your generations, you will reach It can be a very fast individual breakthrough where suddenly you went from 18 going on 30. And
Right.
others may says 18 going on 16, I'm not ready for this. So there will be two factors, individual factors and global factors. And you're right about something very important, very profound, is the planet is evolving. The Earth is returning into her original celestial ascended self. That is clear. That is crystal clear. I think we can all agree on that. Now, it's your choice at a soul level, not from your egoic personality point of view, but from a soul perspective. You may not be ready completely. Some people or some group of souls on the planet right now, it can be thousands of them. You already knew, for those of you who are in that group, that you're here to really take the ride to that third dimensional ride. You're here to enjoy it, to experiencing limitation, rush. You're here to experience the all nine yard. And that is still considered as soul evolution. So from, let's say you're 18 and you're going to be graduating to 20, and that's perfect for you. It is still evolution. Now, the 3/4 or the 2/3 of the rest of the soul on the planet that comes from everywhere, from different planet, star system, galaxy, constellation, name it. We know what we're here for. We're here to support the planet in her reascending process. And so, as already ascended being, we know we're simply going back the pathway again to help that process to take place. So this is why I love your analogy to say, well, I'm 18. Will I grow up? Or we're 18, we're growing up eventually. I say, well, in that perspective, I'm a grandma. And I see that evolution from that level of energy. And it's perfectly aligned. Everything is neat where it needs to be. So be who you need to be. Experience what you need to experience. Because your soul knows. Your soul knows. And when the time comes, you may be accelerating from 18 to 55 in a heartbeat because this is your time. And that may influence others to do so. But it's really individual soul choices and collective soul choices. It really is.
Do we need to, can we do this without taking ourselves too serious?
I love the question. Would you please define for me what too serious is?
I think that we need more laughter.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think we need
Yeah.
more laughter. I think sometimes we take ourselves too damn serious.
I see what you mean. I understand. Yes. Loosen up. Bring that joy, that really deep joy. Not just had a good time last time, more deeper, lasting joy. I always joke, you know me, Jimmy. I always says, part of my joy, I'm going to kick back, relax after this amazing time together, have a tea, and I'm going to eat chocolate. That's my way of I enjoy it. And people says, oh, sugar intake. I don't care. I like my sugar. Let's just be clear. I eat sugar and it's just the way it is. That's what I've come to do, to experience. It's part of the experience of being here. I want to enjoy my senses. I understand what it feels in my mouth. My digestive enzyme are happy. My body, my soul is
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Well, and I think that so many in our community that have been a part of this for 20, 30 years, 40 years, they've been fighting the good fight for a long time. And I think that 20 years ago there was a general pissed offedness in our community because of the ridicule and the teasing and and just they were just fighting the fight, man. Going out there every day, and they were not smiling a lot. There was not a lot of laughter, and some of them, most of them, I've seen the change in them where they're smiling more today, and they're not taking things as serious. They had to take it more serious in the past, right? But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Just take a deep breath and be happy and smile more. Don't take don't take your foot off the neck of the government, right? Keep that down. Let's push for disclosure. Let's keep science on their toes. Let's do all of that. It's not a time to relax, but I would like to evolve without taking ourselves too serious. I think that's part of it. I think that, there are unicorns, damn it. Let's be happy in the future and not be so serious.
Well, there are fairies, or unicorn, or gnomes. And when you bring that joy, you're redefining also the vibration of what experiences you're going to magnify more in your life. So it's all intertwined, Jimmy. And I play along sometimes because I understand. I have compassion. I feel. At the same time, I know we're here on a grand mission, and I know we have a lot of work to do. And I may have not been publicly known for 40 years, but I've been on this planet long enough to fight constantly, whether it's dark being. I've seen darkness at the end. I've seen, the draconians in their most intense way. I've seen and had interactions with the reptilian queen, and they made me an offer. There was a time where they approached me. They wanted me to leave my Arcturian delegation and serve their cause here on the planet. And they said to me, you will be adding so much to us. And I said, I know I would, but I know who I am, and I'm here to serve the prime creator, the one, and I'm here to elevate billions of souls and life. And I know there's an entire planet at stake. So there's a lot of seriousness in that task. At the same time, and I know you understand, but I want to acknowledge you, Jimmy. I know what you're coming from. I understand. And I look at, the researcher, the pioneers, those who've come. Look at the souls who have reincarnated in the time of World War II, just a time alone. They are the pioneers who have returned to really anchor the lights in the frequency on the planet, to lead the way to other generations like yours, and mine, and then those after us. So, it's how we approach this. It's a time to return to living by the essentials and understanding really, really, truly what is the true essence of a human being. If we can understand that as an intergalactic being, we really certainly hope you will yourself, as being one of them right now. Just experience, understand what truly being a human being is about. I mean, your capacity for love, compassion, reaching out, random act of kindness, being able to help an animal in despair, planting a new tree, talking to your plants, you make a huge difference. So it's really about, where does your heart have to tell you? What choice do you make? What footprints do you want to live on this planet and in the archives that will last forever? So those are good questions to ask yourself.
Great words to end the show. And one day, Viviane, I'm going to take you out and we're going to throw bricks through some windows. Okay? Let's go out. Let's go out and shake up the town. Viviane Chauvet, you are the absolute very best. I want to thank you for everything, and I look forward to hanging out once again in our next conversation. Viviane's links are below, everybody. We've got them in social media and over on our website. Chase her down. She is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Viviane. All the best. Great conversation tonight.
See you soon. Much love to you, Jimmy, as always.
Viviane Chauvet. All right. Now, everybody, Viviane's links are below on our website and throughout social media. Another great conversation tonight. And I want to remind everybody, tomorrow night on the show, and we've got a strange week this week, but tomorrow night, Eric Mintle is on with us. He's a jazz musician, but he's also paranormal investigator and an author. So tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about ghosts, UFOs, and cryptids. And of course, we're going to get some music in as well. And then Thursday night is an AMA AJA. We do that once a month. We're going to do that Thursday or Wednesday. Thursday, we're off air because I will be in Wisconsin for the Contact Modalities Expo. With that, I am out of here. I'll see everybody right back here tomorrow night. Until then, all I've got is go Backley Tappy. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Special thanks to Bill, John, Dex, Jessica, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go back, Lee Tappy.